Welcome to the show. My name is Dean. It is time for the weekend roundup. That, of course, is Lev Parnas, and we are in for a legendary week. Some business to take care of before we get started. Lev remembers, give him a sub right now. No one is breaking more news. Well, it's between him and his son. It's like Team Parnas. You can't get away from the Parnas family, which is incredible because they're doing some of the most incredible heavy lifting when it comes to what we're going to experience this week, what we're going to talk about today. I don't know if you want to call it Armageddon, Lev. We've got a vote coming up tomorrow to release the Epstein files. We've got Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene openly warring with each other. We have rumors of literally a tsunami in the House and the Senate. And it is on. This is the week, and we don't let our foot off the gas. But if I'm reading between the lines here, this could be absolute political disaster, not just for MAGA, but Donald Trump and his regime as we sit here today.
Oh, it's I don't even know what the right adjective would be to properly say it, Dean. I mean, it is a tsunami. We're watching play out. I wrote about it all weekend. I actually had very little sleep this weekend and today in the morning. This is all. I mean, first Donald Trump did everything he could to put pressure on the likes of Bubba, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Nancy Mace. When that didn't work out, he basically spent 48 hours nonstop calling the House, and he started realizing that it's coming, and that they're actually probably going to get to over 290 votes. Now, we'll get to why that's important, the 290 number, and I wrote about it today earlier in my Substack. It's extremely important, okay, because if you get 290, which is two-thirds in the House, and then you get 67, which is two-thirds in the Senate, Trump loses his veto power. He cannot veto the vote, which is extremely important. So Donald Trump has been on the phone 48 hours trying to make the calls, realized can't control the House. The House is going to come out strong to the point where it might be even over 290. So then he went to strategy B, started the Senate. With the Senate, he's having some, what I'm hearing from some of my sources, he's having a lot of better luck. Leader Thune basically told him that they're going to do everything they can to not, we're breaking it here, actually, what we're talking about right now. But basically said he's going to try to keep it off, not even put it to a vote. So they're going to do everything to try to stall it in the Senate. Now, the big thing that was happening was conversations in the Trump team between people like Stephen Miller and others like Susie Wiles and their team, because of the way the media, the way Trump was handling the situation, the way it was being portrayed, and the way MAGA was being and basically all out disarray. So that's where the plan came out, where basically Trump was going to support the release again, just like he did before, because they have a contingency in place, which they already put in place, which I wrote about a couple of days ago. Was actually a few months ago, we actually spoke about the first time we actually mentioned it, that they were going to go after Bill Clinton and others, make that a major
that was in June. You started talking about that.
June.
Yeah,
exactly. That they were going to, in July, that they were going to start doing that. And then, but the important part about it is it gives them another joker. And the joker is that while there's an investigation, they can now start playing games and be selective with what they hand over to the House once the subpoenas are pushed over. And this is where Pam Bondi and Kash Patel come in. And basically, he's, just like she closed the investigation because of all the information they realized was going to come out on Trump and also the relationship between Russia, Epstein, all the information that was given out. But also now they are using that as now basically nuclear going there by now trying to, like, because you got to understand, most of Trump's base, and we talk about all the time, are uneducated or people that are one way, very cult-like-ish. So if all of a sudden they start seeing Trump come out every day saying, release the files, I want everybody to release the files. Well, Release. I said release the files. I'm calling every congressman. Yes, everybody. It's going to paint the picture in their brain that Trump wants the files released, and who's
Yeah.
going to become the scapegoat? Just like what happened when she closed the files, Pam Bondi. They're not going to say Donald Trump. This is the strategy that they're using right now, which what my source are telling me. So they're trying to complicate things by letting us. And it was the amazing part is it makes me sick to my stomach, Dean, is this is so obvious. Like, I mean, my children, some of my kids, my 12-year-old understood that when he saw, we were watching TV, my 12-year-old, well, my kids are a little bit more politically inclined now because of their family that we live in. But my 12-year-old was watching, and when the news came on, they said, oh, Donald Trump. Oh, actually, Aaron either did something on the news when we were watching it, and Aaron's like, oh, Donald Trump. And my son's like, Dad, you got to call Aaron, tell him that it's not, this is, what's it called? I'm like, Aaron's reporting the news. He's right. He'd let him report the news, this thing too.
Yeah.
But
Let him
going back
report,
to
son.
let him report. But even he understood that it was, a ploy, because Donald Trump is not all of a sudden
Yeah.
waking up and changing his mind and saying, literally within 30 minutes or an hour after he did an interview, getting on a plane in West Palm Beach, basically, again, calling it a hoax, again, saying the Democrats that started, again, pushing and saying the whole thing. And then literally within an hour later, this Truth Social post comes out, all right, do it, give it to them all,
Yeah.
So
I've always been for it. Release the Epstein files. We'll get to that in just a second. And to your point, and I want to kind of just set that scene a little bit. For the past 3-4 months, he has been doing everything he humanly fucking possible to hide from the Epstein files, to prevent the Epstein files from coming out. He shut the fucking government of the United States down for 40 days to prevent Adelita Grijalva getting sworn in so that she could be the 218th signature. In that time frame, the Epstein files coming from the Epstein estate have uncovered all kinds of disgusting, perverse shit. The way that Epstein and his friends mocked Donald Trump, how stupid they thought he was, how dirty they thought he was, including Epstein's emails, which made me laugh. I was reading them. I'm like, oh, I'm bad, but Donald's fucking the worst out of all of us. And
just think about,
yeah, dude, that fucking shocked me. That shocked me because he's admitting, yeah, I mean, I run girls, but, Donald Trump's the worst. He's perverted to a point where Epstein and his brother Mark are sending memes back and forth. I don't know if you saw the one meme. He's like, would you trust him with your daughter? And a picture of Donald Trump. Like that's literally in the estate files dump. So he goes on, keeps calling this for the past week a Democratic hoax. Marjorie Taylor Greene splits. We'll get to that civil war in just a second. He starts calling her a traitor, tells everybody to move on, and then suddenly on Air Force One, he puts out this fucking tweet. And this is like the day after telling people to be quiet. I'm not answering those questions, telling everybody nobody wants to see it. It's dead news. He's a pervert. It's over. He says this. I'm going to read you this tweet. This is from last night on his way back. As I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files.
Go for it. Release it.
Because we have nothing to hide. I mean, nothing to hide. I mean, you got the files. You can just sign a piece of paper and release the files. And
can I say, while you're laughing, and before we continue, let me preference to everybody out there. This is the important part. Donald Trump could release the files. Donald Trump is under subpoena. First of all, let me even go back. Donald Trump's under subpoena. There's a subpoena to release the files that they're just ignoring because they're saying that they have no right to release the file. Donald Trump's the president. So if he wants to release the files, he doesn't have to say, let Congress vote on. The reason why Congress is voting on is because Donald Trump's not releasing the files. So this is why. So the fact that he's telling him, go ahead, vote on it, release the files. I mean, I could just think about how we're laughing and we're living. This is our country. Just think
it's so fucking ridiculous. To your point, like
think about how the world is laughing at this shit. Like what? Like they're sitting there, and they're saying, holy shit. Like, release him, don't release him, release him, don't release him. Like, play. This is
Dude,
like,
Russia Today put out a meme going, "Are we releasing the files or are we not releasing?" Like Russia's mocking him, China's mocking him, we're mocking him, his own fucking party's mocking him. We'll get to that because of what this says, and it's not just him. Oh, I said it on Friday, which he never did. There's no documented case of him going, "Yeah, I think we should release the fucking files on Friday," and then he's like, "I haven't been saying the whole time. You got to release it," and he says because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from the Democrat hoax. So he's saying they're files, but now he's saying they're a hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success. And he goes on, blah, 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 blah. But here's where it gets really fucking interesting. Two reasons. One, little side door, little hatch, escape hatch he put into the wording where he says, and I quote, this is great. The Department of Justice has already turned over tens of thousands of pages to the public on Epstein and are looking at various Democrat operatives. Bill Clinton, not an operative, he's the fucking president. Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, and their relationship to Epstein. And the House Oversight Committee, remember this, can have whatever they are legally entitled to. Legally entitled to.
Stop right there.
Well, hang on. I got to finish it because he goes, I don't care. I don't care. Doesn't sound like a guy who doesn't care. Anyway, please, legally entitled. Take me through that, my friend Lev Parnas.
Well, first, it's like he's saying, again, here we go, Twilight Zone lunacy. He's saying it's a hoax, but we're going to now investigate the Democrats. But it's a hoax. It's a Democratic hoax, but we're going to go. But there's actually...
We better investigate, though.
Let's investigate the Democrats because they were on Epstein's island. But it's a hoax. It's a hoax, but we're going to investigate them anyway. And then he's such a dumbass. He can't even keep it in his pants. That's why I keep telling you, like, I tell everybody, if he was a little bit smarter, like not smarter, but like less narcissistic, I mean, less what, I don't know what the word or terminology would be.
Dementia-laden nihilist? Yeah.
We would be in such trouble. It's not even if he had a little more, I mean, but he can't even hold it in his fence because their whole plan, the fact that I broke a couple of days ago that we're talking about here is to make it seem like he doesn't care. He wants it out, be the person fighting for it all, and change the narrative, and then make Pam Bondi the scapegoat because she's going to come back and say, okay, well, we could give you only this, and that's going to be about all the Democrats, but we can't give you all of this. That's under investigation. I mean, it's going to be like some kind of crazy, like, what's it called? And everybody's going to be going haywire. It's going to be like, guys, Pam's doing a great job. Pam's doing a great job. Pam, she's going to be the greatest. She's going to go down in history as the greatest attorney general that we've ever seen.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Nobody's like it. Look how much she's released. She's released. Look at what's going on with Clinton. I mean, this is what. So he can't even hold in his pants. So he writes it there. He says legally, because if he had half a brain, he wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have went on and said. He would have said, "Release the files. We want to see the files. I want to see the files. I want validation." And then he'd be like, Pam, I want you to release the file. They would play. If I was still there, I don't know who they got, but if I was still there, I would have them play it out to such a degree that nobody would. That's why it's so crazy. Like, I mean, he has all the tools and he chooses to just go out there and start just shooting buck wild. Like he doesn't.
And that's the thing. He's in such a tenuous time, Lev. I can't fucking believe he doesn't have anybody next to him going, "Are you sure you want to hit send on that? Like, do you want me to proofread it first? You want me to check it for legalese? Do you want me to see if there's any conundrums?" Because what he's saying here is that, to your point, it's all a fucking hoax, but he's going to have a fucking investigation into the Democrats who were definitely on the island. So there you go. It's not a hoax. And then on top of it, he's like, I'm going to deliver whatever I can legally. I don't care. Clearly you care. And the reason why he put that legally, whatever is legal in that document, is because several days ago, he opened up an investigation. Pam Bondi, he played it out. He opened up an investigation into the Democrats, just the Democrats this is an open investigation. And he knows he's got an open investigation. So to your point, going back to how we started, that escape hatch gives him the opportunity, and friends, bear with me because this is really important, gives him the opportunity to be able to say, we actually can't release those files because of this Democratic investigation into all the Democratic perverts and all the operatives from the Democratic Party. Sorry, can't do it. And you literally now have his supporters going, see, he wants he wants transparency too. He wants it. That's the crazy part to me. The crazy part is that you can just completely disregard months worth of receipts of this guy running like his hair's on fucking fire away from the Epstein files, doing everything humanly, physically possible to hide the Epstein files. And then he puts that out, which any moron who can read goes, he's never putting these fucking files out. He's just creating escape hatches and tactics and strategies so that he can, because he's overwhelmed now. And you put something out, and I want to talk about that because this is bearing down on him. You put out an incredible piece. Everybody, Lever members, become a paid sub today. He is absolute fucking magic. He is an award-winning whistleblower, and he knows shit nobody else does. So, explain that to me, because this tidal wave, which you've reported on, Aaron's talking about, it's now becoming breaking news on mainstream media thanks to you and the Parnas family. Like I said, what would we do without the Parnas family? The incredible part is that there are hundreds of people, hundreds of members of the House, dozens of members of the Senate who plan on crossing the floor. And I want to talk about why that's important. You touched on it and what you're hearing, because this vote-proof veto is something that I think I and the rest of the United States of America are very interested in tomorrow.
Well, this is why they're coming out with Plan B, Plan C, and they keep putting installations in, because originally Trump really felt that he could break. Plan A was to break either Bobart or Green or Mace and have them, not sign that, not do the 218. When he couldn't break them and that was going to go through, and he lost them, he realized. Then the next stage was calling every single congressman, congresswoman, putting pressure on them, threatening them. And he started seeing that it's not working, that basically there's I don't know what the right word, but like I'm hearing between 50 to 100, like that they might get over 290. Like, that 290 is a real I mean, we went from barely getting 218 and getting it to the very way. I'm speaking to people behind the scenes. They're telling me that it's going to be. And Trump started understanding, and that's where I'm hearing it. When Trump started realizing that there's going to be a massive, mutiny or a massive, a support
Migration.
migration. When you are going to release the files,
Yeah.
He then basically started hitting up the Senate. And this is what was going on through the weekend. So Sunday, he was calling the Senate all day. He had Lindsey Graham. He had his minions on there. Thune promised him, actually told him he's going to do everything as possible not to even put it to the floor. But he started also hearing rumblings that, that, like you said, that there is 10, 12, like my son reported, there's a major, it's interesting, is Lindsey Graham Bubba?
Someone just asked that question. We're going to get to that because the Bubba thing might actually be the key to all of it.
I can't believe you just threw me off like that. That was whoever put that up there. That was I should put a tweet. I should ask Donald Trump. We should put a tweet out there. Hey, Donald, is Lindsey Bubba? But that was great.
Do you know what I read this weekend too? Is Ghislaine Maxwell had a horse named Bubba.
Yes. You guys are bad.
I'm just saying. I just put it out there. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's documented. It's true. Found it on Google. It's true.
Anyway,
keep going. 50 to 1. Before you start talking, before you got distracted by Bubba, which, by the way, everybody, we're going to get to that email today, too, because we got two more subjects to cover. Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Civil War, and this whole Bubba thing, which could actually be kind of underscores, the issue with Russia, believe it or not. So we'll get to that in just a second. But you're hearing that this mass migration, this basic mutiny, is on, not just
In
on,
the
but
house, yeah, in the house,
yeah,
it's on. Yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday, tomorrow, we're gonna see it. I'm trying to get to Washington D.C. I'm trying to work out the legalities to see if I could get down there and be live with the on the Hill with the survivors,
yeah.
and because I have some ideas and some plans that we could really take advantage of it tomorrow. Turn Donald Trump and MAGA's world into a nightmare, but we'll see what happens. So, when he started realizing the Senate is something that is very iffy, also, he understood that two things are going to happen where he's now in a complex situation. A, he doesn't want to veto this, to be the one that vetoes it, even though he's been heard. People in his inner circle have heard him saying that he doesn't give a shit. It's not going to see the light of day, and if he has to veto it, he'll veto it and just move on, and that the public will forget about it by in a year from now. It'll be old news. But he doesn't want to veto it because he's starting to see that it's not going away. So that's why they've implicated this new. Literally out of the jack of the box, let's open up an investigation we need to clearly understand how important this is. July 6th literally is when this whole thing started because Pam Bondi issued a letter, official letter saying that they didn't sign, by the way, but they leaked it on 4th of July weekend saying that the Epstein case is closed. It's closed. They've done extensive investigation. There's no There's a lot of perverted videos there. You're never going to see any of the videos. You're never going to see anything again. But I could tell you, she goes, there's nothing. There's nobody. Closed. God, dandada. Nothing there. Nobody. Didn't say Democrats. Didn't mention Clinton. Didn't talk about anybody. It is closed. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump puts a Truth Social. This is how insane we're living.
He
Like we're
can't
pretending
keep it in his
in his
pants.
head. I mean, he could have called her. He could have, anything. But he
Yeah.
puts it out there. Pam, let's look into the Democrats. And what does Pam do? Literally within 5 minutes, responds on X. This is crazy. Like this is the guy. This is where our president of the United States and the attorney general are having a conversation about the biggest cover up investigation in the history of the United States.
On
And she
social
says,
media.
on social media, and she goes, "Mr. President, aye, sir, we got you. Investigation. Not only that, sir, but I have found the perfect person in the Southern District of New York." And he's the perfect person that's going to go after and prosecute this case. So now all of a sudden we have an investigation that 2 months ago there was no investigation. So just like I call him 2-week Donnie, just like with Ukraine, one day he's telling Putin he's going to, send nuclear subs over there. Next day he's telling Putin, come over, let's watch the FIFA games together.
Yeah.
One day he's saying Putin, stop the killing. The next day he's saying Putin's the smartest man in the world.
Yeah. Time to let him fight it out. Let him fight it
Let
out.
him fight it out. It's like in the park. Let him fight it out. Who cares?
Yeah.
When was the last time you heard him ask a word about all the killings, or even mention Ukraine, Russia? Any more sanctions?
Yeah.
Nothing. Just like if you guys remember, just like we told you, just like right here, me and Dean, for months, I told you the plan hatched. It was about prolonging, delaying. There's no tomahawks going over to Ukraine. There's no weapons being helped to Ukraine. They're left on their own to demise. Meanwhile, Russia's trying to do it. But folks, Ukraine is standing strong also. And again, thanks to a lot of you and a lot of our supporters here and a lot of supporters all over the world. It's not the same Ukraine that was, and Donald Trump is going to see that. And so the Russians are feeling it already. So same thing here. It's the same thing. It's 2 months, 2 months ago. It's one thing. The crazy part also is I'm hearing that he's literally, and I was iffy about it myself because I thought there's different ways to do things. Everything he's doing, he could be doing everything in the proper way. He's the president, but he chooses to do it like a gangster, just like what I'm hearing. He's actually literally considering pardoning Maxwell. I mean, I know we
Like
talk
for
about
real, it's not just positing. Like
my
it's not
goodness.
just that whole sexy indifference and or whatever you call strategic ambiguity. He's literally
It's
thinking
crazy.
of pardoning the worst sex offender ever convicted in the history of the United States.
Well, what I'm hearing is she's putting pressure on him. Remember how this whole thing started, guys. I want to take everybody back before we got the email leaks, before it all started. Remember, Epstein, Maxwell was in a maximum security prison, and all of a sudden, the Wall Street Journal put out a birthday card, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, where did that come from?" If you go back, you'll see how we reported on it and said that it was Maxwell giving Trump a sign, because
Mhm.
Trump then went after, the Wall Street Journal, said, I'm going to, sue you billions of dollars. Maxwell comes out, all of a sudden, next thing you know, instead of suing the Wall Street Journal, you got Todd Blanche, Trump's personal attorney, second in command AG, flying over to the maximum security prison, taking the criminal, child pedophile predator, convicted, out of the prison. Never happened before.
Yep.
Into an undisclosed location. They spent 2 days talking about recording. 2 days recording about how Donald Trump and Epstein are great guys. Nobody ever committed any crimes.
Never saw Donald
She's
do anything wrong. He
yeah,
was such a
she,
gentleman. Yeah, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
she's actually the persecuted one. She's the one
Yep.
that's being, it's the Bidens, the Democrats went after her. She's also, she did nothing wrong. Next thing you know, a day later, she's all of a sudden in a as we called, a much nicer, federal camp penitentiary, where she's now getting room service. She's got all the toilet paper she could get. she got she's being
She
the
gets her food
warden.
brought to her. She gets, yeah, the warden's helping her with her commutation
Warden.
process. Yeah.
The warden's her assistant. I mean, so this is
It's fucking
this is
crazy.
just if you think about all the shit we just said is crazy enough, he's actually now considering pardoning her, because she does not she's starting to understand that this is all unraveling. See, you gotta understand, there's a few people that know the truth that's
Well, and
really
to your
going on.
point,
Donald
they weren't
Trump.
counting on the Epstein estate files dump. They weren't counting on these emails coming out. Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't counting on her literally co-signing and completely perjuring herself in 23,000 pages of documents. She wasn't counting on that coming out. So now pressure's on, right?
Right. Well, also part of their plan. Remember, see, they have different ideas, and we spoke about report on. And part of their plan was, she thought that they had a chance in the Supreme Court that it might get
Yeah.
overturned. So that was the plan. And then if that didn't happen, then Trump was supposed to commutate her or pardon her or do something. But obviously, they didn't expect that all of the Epstein dump. Because remember, all the stuff that's coming out, there's only a few people know about this. It's Maxwell. She knows the truth because she's part of the whole thing. So
Yeah.
and Trump himself, because he's been there, he's part of the whole thing. So he also knows
Yeah.
the truth,
Yeah.
saying to you. And then you got the DOJ, which now it's lots of people. You got Cash Patel that saw all of that stuff. You have Pat Bondi that saw it. So you have 1,000, as they reported, like 1,000 FBI agents that scrubbed Trump's name. But then you have one also very important person that saw all that stuff that nobody talks about except for me, and
Dan.
that's Dan Bongino.
Danny boy. Yeah.
Danny boy. And I'm telling you, watch that space, because he made his career, he made his life, he made everything about the Epstein files. And just like Debbie, where's Dan Bongino? I keep saying the same thing. That's why I want to get to Washington, D.C. That's why I want to tell you guys this. And that's why I set up the GoFundMe.
So you can go
I don't
find
know if
Dan
you guys.
Bongino. Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things I want to do, because the things I'm going to do is unorthodox. The things I'm going to do, like the Democrats are going to do, they don't know how to do, because I'm going to basically do to MAGA what MAGA is all about. I'm going to give them a taste, like I posted, a taste of their own medicine.
Mhm.
And that's the only way you can deal with that. It's a very strategic way you have to go about it. Just like I said, my plan is not to go turn MAGA and Republicans and Trump voters into Democrats. I'm not going there to debate policy and try to explain to them that our way of life is better than your way of life, because the second they hear that, it's part of the cult. It shuts down. The
Mhm.
brain doesn't go any further, and that's never going to happen. You're never going to see MAGA go vote for Democrats. And that's the mistake the Democratic Party made. That's the mistake they keep making, because you also have to keep in mind that MAGA, part of it, the 30%, the major part of it, is that 30% that used to be part of the United States of America that never came out and vote. That's what we tapped into when we were part of building MAGA, is to tap into that vote. So my game plan is to make sure to take that 30% of MAGA, exploit who Trump really is, show them he's not MAGA, he's not America first, and make him and have that 30% just not go back and not vote.
Mhm.
Because if they go back and not
Mm.
vote, it's a landslide. Because it's a no vote for Donald Trump is the same thing as a vote for in democracy. So it's my strategy is a lot different because I know them. I could go into certain places, I could debate them, I could talk to them, and that's why I set up the GoFundMe. By the way, I'm going to post it here if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
put it in the
Dean. I don't
chat if you
know.
can, everybody,
Let me,
because Lev is engaged in growing and turning, what he's doing today, which is not just blowing a whistle. It's trying to inform and protect America, trying to save democracy in the United States of America. And he wants to go pick off some of the weak zebras in that herd, and there are several. Not only that, he wants to take the fight to them, and we're also part of that arrangement. We're also part of that partnership, and we'll
oh,
continue to tell
absolutely.
you as we're moving forward with so many people in Lev's network, in my network, in our greater network that are all moving in the same direction, trying to tighten up the message and trying to bring everything together. And that's the heroic part. So he's got to go fund me. Encourage everybody if you can donate to it, $5, $10, whatever you can, because we want to build a bigger boat. We want to take the fight to them, as Lev's pointed out, because now's the time. Like when you say this dude's down bad and he's crashed out, you're going to watch
This is
that
the
this
time.
week. This is it. We are at that climax right now. And I want to kind of insert another part of the conversation too. The Marjorie Taylor Greene business. Like, dude, I have never in my life seen a transformation from Jewish space laser crazy lady running around chasing David Hogg, telling him that she's got a right to shoot her guns, grabbing Donald Trump's crotch in that cardboard cutout, yelling and screaming at Joe Biden with a MAGA hat when she was sitting for the State of the Union address. Yesterday, she came full circle. Not only has she been the biggest pain in Trump's ass, he's now attacking her. He's calling her Marjorie Trader Green. She's now being threatened by his people. She's had bomb threats. She's been swatted with the pizza guys. Everybody, if you know anything about that, she was really upset by that whole thing yesterday. And before we canonize Marjorie Taylor Greene, I do want to get your not just assessment of this civil war and how we do not understand how significant this is. But what she said yesterday with Dana Bash on CNN, where Dana Bash actually held her feet to the fire a little bit. And she's like, hey, listen, this is cool that you're coming out and everything. And you're talking about being threatened by MAGA and but you did all the shit. Like you did the shit. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I was fucking floored. Marjorie Taylor Greene looks into the camera. She sighs. She's like, I basically want to apologize for all of that.
Listen.
I basically, listen, I'm really sorry for all of that, the violent rhetoric. And then she's like, I just want politics to be nice again. Knives out. We need to put them away and let's serve the people. But take me through the hallways of the Oval Office with this MAGA fight and what you know about what's going on between these two. Because not more than a year ago, Donald Trump was like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's the best, would never want to be her enemy. Well, here we are. Here we are.
So, this is a much longer story, and we should do actually a special about this because I have a lot of information. But I'll give you guys like a 30,000 feet because we have today's a crazy day. By the way, I got Wajid at 2:00. I'm doing the left hook with Wajid Ali.
Okay.
At 5:30, I'm doing Joe Walsh. At 7:30, I got Joy Reid. So we got a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So, but. It goes back to even, there's another crazy nut in this whole play that we haven't spoke about for Laura Loomer. So Laura Loomer has been attacked going at it with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She Trump's side piece. Are they dating? Her and Trump? Are they a thing?
I don't know. I'm not
just all right. Just asking.
No, I don't think so.
I just asked.
Well, listen. You never know. Anything is possible in this world.
All right.
I'm gonna say I don't think so. But anyway,
okay.
So her and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been going at it for a while because of the Israel situation about Marjorie Taylor Greene making those comments and stuff like that, and she's been in Trump's ear for a while. And then the real story is that Marjorie Taylor Greene did want to run for Senate. Trump did not told her he's not going to endorse her, and she decided that she is going to play politics and start being strategically. At first, she started talking out against certain policies against Israel, how he was with Israel, how he's not America first, he's more international and stuff like that. And then when she started seeing the tea leaves a little bit, because she's also, you gotta understand, out there, and she's seeing that Trump's tariffs and all of this, that that he might not go to prison because of whatever the Supreme Court's immunity clause they give him. But she started, I think, understanding that a lot, like Steve Bannon said, that they're all going to go to prison, they're including him. And I think she was part of that group starting to understand, and started, especially when it came to the Epstein files, the cover up. She saw the movement. She saw that, I mean, it was just like ridiculous. There's over 80-90% of the country, it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat, that wants to release the Epstein files. So, with that said, she kept pushing it. Laura Loomer kept pushing in Trump's ear, and Trump basically, obviously, she pushed a little too hard, and now he's trying to make an example out of her. He's trying to use her as a scapegoat, not so much as a scapegoat, but that's why he's using specific words. And Marjorie, there's a reason why Marjorie Taylor is scared, because part of when part of that mega whole attack on people, when Trump used to attack other people and call them traitors, those are trigger words for mega lunatics and white supremacists to basically, traitor.
Attack,
That's why
threaten.
she
Yeah.
attack, threaten. And when he did it to others, Marjorie Taylor Greene used to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But now when he said it to her, and that's why he saw, even when asked when he was getting on the plane to West Palm Beach, and he said to Marjorie, traitor, Green or Brown, he called her,
Yeah.
he's, Marjorie Taylor Brown, he called her, and, so look, I'm going to say this to you. I'm not a Marjorie Taylor Greene fan. I don't think I would ever be able to support Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's too much, I'm definitely a person that would always give it, if somebody really was about to change, I would give him the opportunity. Marjorie Taylor Greene has a long way to go before, acceptance and change. But with that said, right now we're in a war. And
she's a weapon.
Our words to say she's a weapon, and I gave her I've invited her on our Substack. I've invited her to give her a platform, and I said, I told her people, I said, she's worried, she doesn't want to come on and fight, because she understands that, coming on with me, Trump is going to have a heart attack, and it's something that's going to, it's a major step. And I told her, if you come on, I'm not going to try to destroy you or go after you. On the contrary, that will be at a different place at a different time when we get our democracy back. I said, I'll give you, an opportunity to tell us exactly what's going on, the text messages, and what's happening, and who's threatening you. And, because now they're trying to cover up. She's being swatted. She's doing all of this, and they're saying that she's lying and all of this. So, I told her I'll do it. So we'll see what happens, because I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, just like I was, just like others, is very deep in MAGA world, knows a lot, knows where a lot of bodies are buried, knows a lot of stuff. And right now is a time where, like I said, it's not time to just go out there and pop bottles of champagne and celebrate like, we won something. We didn't win anything, folks. All we did is we're finally having what I've always told you about, is we're on the offense. We're finally feeling good, because we're controlling the news cycle. He's on the defense. He's now and you're seeing the difference, and it feels good. But we're a far long way from getting our democracy back, because still, as I've told you, he has contingency put in place to make sure that the Epstein files, or what he wants or doesn't want to come out is still in play. And that's why we need to keep pushing. We need to keep, getting it out, because there are people inside the Trump inner circle that if we scream loud enough, push loud enough, all it takes is one whistleblower. And you just think about how many whistleblowers came out in his first administration. All it takes is one whistleblower that has a copy of some really, DOJ stuff that comes out and gives it to, or leaks it, or Congress, and it's over with. So you
Yep.
don't even, it's not even about releasing all the files. So we just need to keep the pressure on and pushing and doing it. And like I said, the stuff that Dean, myself, and some others, I don't want to mention names now until we're ready to, that are putting together. It's a very unorthodox approach of how we're going to go approach it. We're not going to talk policies. We're not going to talk about uniting and becoming Democrats, turning tide. What we're going out there to do is something very, very different, something very special, is put that genie back in the bottle. So what we uncovered, what Trump opened up, that vote that didn't vote for 30, 40, 50 years, that 30%, that mega, that uneducated, that group that is that cultish, like, open up their eyes to understand that Trump is not that cult, is not their Jim Jones. Open
Mm.
up the light. And again, it's not going to happen with everybody. You're not going to open up to everybody, but we don't need everybody, because if you take a look at the percentages, I mean, if we get 1-2% of what we're trying to do, we will win our elections by a landslide. That's how close he wanted, and that's without everything else. That's not even considering the economy. That's not considering what the Democrats are going to do. That's just one part of what we're going to do that nobody else could do. It's like in a war. There's special forces. There's
Mhm.
groups that go in. There's army. But there's special groups that go in. There are special forces. They do a job that nobody else could do. They go in deep. They all go undercover. They go inside the places to do the actual work, to then allow the cavalry to come in and take it over. That is what we're planning on doing. That is what our game plan is. We're that special forces. They're going to go in there with places where the Newsoms, the Priskers, the Raskins, the Democrats, they can't go in there. They know it's our territory. The lines are drawn, but we can. And like I said, a no vote is just as good as a vote. That's where our part of our strategy is, and that's why it's important for you guys to understand why it's an important part, because we're going to be the very first group on the front line of trying to be able to save our democracy.
Well said. And I love the fact that you sort of gave this conversation a little context and some hope, because we are actively moving this down the road. We are actively putting together this team. We are actively going into those places. And Lev is hoping to have some news for you about possibly being in Washington D.C. tomorrow. And he's got a GoFundMe. Please hit that if you can. It would be lovely if you could put that in the chat again. That'd be awesome. Anybody, if you see it, please repost that in the chat. Please subscribe to Lev. Paid subscribers get to chat. Paid subscribers get to come up and we read your comments, like the one about Bubba. And I want to get to that real quick because this is awesome. And I was doing some research this week and I wrote a piece about it, which is on my Substack, deanblundell.substack.com. Encourage everybody to go read it. That this isn't just the making of Donald Trump's own doing, but the butterfly effect and this email that goes between Mark Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein that says, and I think I'm quoting, did Bannon give Putin the picture of Trump blowing Bubba? Question mark. Now, some people in the chat were like, "Is that Lindsey Graham?" Some people, I know Ghislaine Maxwell had a horse. Could have been Bill Clinton. So Mark Epstein obviously gets a phone call from Bill Clinton or the Clinton Foundation or maybe Hillary, who's like, "You better deal with this," and he puts out a press release, and the press release effectively says, "Okay, everybody, just want you to know there was a text between brothers, but Bill Clinton is not Bubba." Now, the great part about this is there is no denial that there's a picture of Trump blowing this mysterious Bubba. But in that little email that really lit the world on fire this weekend and gave us a lot of laughs for sure. Me, because I was like, "Who's Bubba?" I got me my chat GPT. I'm like, "Who's Bubba? Who's Bubba? Donald Trump Bubba? What the Bubba?" But the funny part about that whole thing to me is the other than the blowing Bubba is the connection in there in that one line. Did Bannon give Putin? Did Bannon give Putin? And so this one email about Trump blowing Bubba, to your point from Coffee and Tea with Lev and Dean on the weekend, which is, hey, there's an intermediary. There's a whole fucking exchange between Epstein and Victor Shurkin, and having a handler who's the former fucking prime minister of Norway, who's on the UN Security Council. And it, like, this Bubba email completely overturns the idea. And it almost is the key in my mind. And I want your thoughts to this thing that we've all been wondering, that Trump calls the Russia hoax. I think there's something going on with Bubba in Russia. Like, I really do. And I want
Well,
your thoughts, because man, oh man, it's right there. Right there.
well, it's even bigger than that, and that's why I'm glad you mentioned it, because I'm gonna, it's very important to concentrate on this email, because there's a very important thing that he says, and I'm gonna repeat: did Bannon give Putin? So let's stop right there. Does Bannon have a relationship with Vladimir Putin? Why is Bannon giving Putin? So let's stop right there. Like, nobody, like, forget about what he gave. So now we're there. Here we have enough. So we knew Manafort had a link to Putin. So now we're starting. When was this email written?
This email was written in 2018.
So think about it. So in 2018, we have now a confirmation that Bannon has a relationship with Putin. So this is another. This is what I'm looking into right now, because Bannon's being very quiet right now. That's why Bannon is saying that we're going to prison, and if they get 2026, Bannon's seeing the writing. Bannon know. See, this is what I'm saying to you. The one thing about crime is the actual criminals know that they committed the crime. So, like, the people, like, that's why the people like Trump, people like Maxwell, people like Bannon, they know that what's in the files. I mean, when they see that email, they're like, oh shit, oh. And because remember, Bannon didn't write that email. This was an email written between two brothers talking about Bannon. So they have no reason to. So you got to understand the mindset. It's not like they're like you couldn't even put together a scenario where they would be lying to each other about Bannon. See, they actually believe Epstein or Mark, whoever's right, believes that Bannon could have given certain information to Putin. And so that's very important in what I said, because the fact that Putin has definitely information on Trump, it's 100%. That's one of the things that I've been talking about. We're going to break the story as soon as I have everything, in fact, what it is. But this is one part of it. Now we're starting to see Bannon also might have been leaking information. Now we're starting to see Epstein, we know, has been giving information to Putin through Victor Churkin, and now we're seeing in others. And this is just part of emails. This is not even all the other stuff. And this also fits into why Bill Barr would have had Epstein arrested in 2019, because when Bill Barr came into office in 2019 in January or February, when he got confirmed, the first files he got were obviously the my investigation to me and Rudy and the Epstein files. So, and the first arrest, literally 6 months later, was Epstein got arrested 2 months prior to me, and then I got arrested 2 months later, and it was by Bill Barr, and Bill Barr wasn't arresting people at that time to open up investigations. He was shutting people down. And I truly believe I am blessed that I was able to do that interview with Rachel Maddow and expose him before they were able to shut it down, because they were trying to do the same thing to me that they did to Epstein, because they tried to put me into solitary, into MDCC, for me to be there until the trial. I was just blessed that my judge saw through the bullshit and, basically allowed me to be on strict home confinement and not confined and without bail and sitting there in the literally in the same cell or next door to where Epstein was. So, I'm saying to you, that was their whole gig. And that's why, like I said, I truly believe that there's a lot more that we're going to uncover there. That's why they're trying to hide these uh, relationships. And I think that Trump is more scared of that, from what I'm understanding and hearing, than anything else, because that will uncover everything, geopolitically. Because it's one thing, a picture of him or with an underage girl, that he could, play whatever he wants to because he's gonna
Yeah,
lie.
you could say
It's
it's
another.
AI. Da, right?
Whatever, correct.
Yeah.
But it's also another thing if they talk about, oh, it's Melania. Yeah, Melania is in there. Yeah, Melania. People that want to pretend that Melania is somebody else. Melania came here at that time as a model. It was a different world in the '90s, folks. '80s and '90s. When the Eastern European models came here, they went through a lot of stuff by people like Epstein, by others, promoters, and that took a lot of advantage of him, and that's how she met Donald Trump. So she definitely has a past. I'm not Michael Wolff and sitting here talking about what and where and there because I wasn't there, but I could guarantee you, I would bet everything I had, that she definitely has a past because that was the time in the world, and that's the crowd she was. It is what it is. They're trying to cover up that also, but that's not what he's really scared of. What he's really scared of is for the world to find out why he is acting the way he's acting with Putin, why he's doing the things he's doing internationally, because that is a much tremendous bigger play on the world level of what's happening and all the people dying and the way I mean, the borders are being redrawn. I mean, and just the conversations about Greenland, Canada. I mean, all of this crazy stuff. This is not, Donald Trump waking up one day and just saying it. This is, lots of years of conversation that's been worked out. Because
Yeah.
remember, Donald, there's a reason. And I tell you guys, watch what happens. There's a reason why Donald Trump, okay, we could say in his first administration, Donald Trump didn't trust his administration. He called them rhinos. And that's why he used guys like me, Rudy, and stuff like that for shadow diplomacy. But why is he doing it right now? Think about it. Right now, this is his cabinet. These are all his loyal people. Pete Hegseth is ready to go to war and wipe out Venezuela if he says so. So Marco Rubio is out there congratulating Russia after they're bombing Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Tulsi Gabbard is ready to. Why are none of them involved in the conversations with Putin? Why is Steve Witkoff the one that's there 6 times or 5 times? And Jared Kushner. It's because of what the information, the compromise that they have. There's only a certain circle of people that know about it. And that's why these negotiations, that's why Trump is so frustrated because he can't do nothing. That's why he stood there and gave Putin that red carpet treatment because he can't do nothing about it. That's why he sat there and watched Putin, Xi, and everybody in China laugh at him while he was sitting there talking about, yes, I'm watching. That's why he is continuously watching Russia pound Ukraine and know nothing about, because they basically told Witkoff. That's why Kirill Dmitriev comes here and meets with Nancy Mace and others
To
to
remind
be
him that
able
we've got a lot of stuff
to
on Trump, you better fucking do exactly what we tell you to do. Yeah.
that's why whenever just think about, I'll give you even another pattern to look at. Every time Trump came out and said something stupid against Putin, like called him a name or called him crazy or did something like that, what's the first thing that would happen? Steve Witkoff would get summoned to the Kremlin. Summoned to the Kremlin. People don't even realize it. They think it's awesome, but he would get summoned to the Kremlin, and all of a sudden afterwards you saw a totally different Donald Trump. You saw a totally different flip.
Yep. Dude, you know what you saw too when he would talk about Ukraine? Like, there was that one day where he's like, should NATO be able to pick Russian planes out of the sky? NATO countries, EU countries? Yeah, for sure. Shoot them down. A couple days later, he's like, yeah, I don't know about that. Right. And what happened after that was he got a phone call apparently from Steve Witkoff, who got a phone call from someone with at the Kremlin who's like, hey, you tell our puppy to back off. You tell our pooch, you tell our dog on a leash that we have a file yay big, and he's been our useful fucking idiot for 30 years, and you have no idea the damage we could do to him and everybody involved with him at the moment. And that's the thing that everybody seems to forget. Like, we're going to get this vote tomorrow, and this vote is going to be overwhelmingly in favor of transparency when it comes to the Epstein files. We're going to get another vote when it comes to the Senate. And what happens is you either clip this guy's nuts with a vote, or he's allowed to continue to do whatever the fuck he wants because he is so deeply, deeply compromised by foreign governments, by years of perversion and self-dealing, by literally being a useful idiot. And if I'm Donald Trump, this is the last question I'll ask you before I let you go. But if I'm Donald Trump, it's got to suck right now finding out. It's got to suck finding out that this entire time you weren't just this business whiz who found some really cool friends in Russia who like to funnel you billions of dollars to bail you out 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Or you weren't this impressive Lothario who used to bet all kinds of women and they really liked you for who you were. You were being fed all of those women, and in some cases, possibly underage women. Like the realization, and I don't know if his mind's gone that far, and I don't know what you're hearing, but I've heard a couple of different stories about the realization that he's slowly trying to have, but at the same time cover it up, that he is not this world-beating leader who did it all himself, and he is absolutely one of the world's most compromised, useful idiots.
I mean, more or less, I would you could say it that way, but I think it's a lot more serious than that. He's not. He's shitting bricks because his whole world. You're right. His whole count will come down. I mean, the investigations afterwards. I mean, just that will come out. It will be will destroy his whole legacy, which is extremely important to him. But that's what he's worried about right now because he's in such a thin line that if you pull the string a little too hard, everything is going to start unraveling, and that's where he's at. And that's why, as we said and we keep saying, and all enough on that, the Epstein files are his kryptonite. Yes, the economy is extremely important, certain messages, but right now we have to make sure because that is the one thing that is uniting our country. That's the one thing that is uniting the world. That's the one thing that is his Achilles heel. That's the one thing that he cannot stop in any way. And that is the one thing that we need to continue pushing and making sure we let our voices loud. And that's why, like Dean said, the first thing I ask each and every one of you is become free subscribers to all of us, because we're here first to get a message, to make sure the message is spread far and wide and build a more than just a community, but a movement, a resistance that we're putting together. Second of all, those that can't, please become paid subscribers, because that's what makes us able to do this on a 24-hour basis. And then extremely important, this GoFundMe that we set up right now, this is just the beginning, folks. This mission is going to cost a lot more money and take a lot more effort and a lot more, but we're putting it together because we need to build a team and we need to get out there as quick as possible to start doing certain things and take advantage of the news cycle while it is. Like right now, for instance, with the Epstein, files. I also have to deal, I'm still on, supervised release and stuff like that. So there's a lot of technical stuff that has to be put together. But with your support, with your help, we're going to get it done. And I hate to run, Dean, but I got
you get out of here.
Waj, I'm gonna run. I want to thank.
Say hi to Waj for me, please.
I definitely will, and we got. I think tomorrow, either way, we're gonna do a big. Either if I'm in DC or not, but me, you, Zed, maybe Waj, we'll do a major, a big. What's it called on the Epstein?
Big Substack Live. Yeah. We'll be kind of breaking in and out of programming tomorrow. It'll be another busy day. And everybody go contribute to Lev's GoFundMe. Give him a sub, paid sub, Lever members. You get out of here. You have a great day, my friend. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, there you go. He's got to go. Lev Parnas, my friend and yours. He's just a good dude. He's just a really good dude. Couple thousand people took that in. Listen, thank you very, very much for joining us today. The Weekend Roundup is one of my favorite things to do, and Lev is one of my favorite people in the world. And he's been right about everything. If you can hit those hearts, hammer those hearts in the corner, that'd be great. If you can hit that little box with the arrow, share this with as many people as you can, because there's hope here. This isn't just about vengeance. This isn't just about a correction of political course in the United States of America. This isn't just about fighting fascism. It's about all those things, not just about one of those things. And we're at this moment in time where, a month and a half, 2 months ago, you asked me if we would be in a place in the next year where Donald Trump would have caught up with Donald Trump, where pedophilia and sex trafficking of children and young girls and young boys would catch up with Donald Trump and everybody involved with Donald Trump and this pedophile protection bureau that he's running out of the Oval Office. I would have said, no, I don't think so. Because we were under that blanket, right? That blanket of bullshit perception that Maple MAGA, want to force you to live under. Tarps off. Tarps off. You can see the whole mess now. And that mess is going to go nuclear tomorrow if there are more than 219 votes to release the Epstein files with the just discharge petition. That is happening in the House tomorrow. And if there are more than 67 senators with heart who love the United States of America more than they love themselves, more than they love Donald Trump, if they respect the Constitution more than they love Donald Trump, you are going to get light. And in that light is hope. Hope for democracy in the United States of America. Hope for these victims. If you saw the victim video that Aaron Parnas put out the other day with these Epstein victims holding pictures of themselves as young girls, and those young girls damaged, destroyed, trapped in those adult bodies that have had to carry that fear and desperation and pain around for the last 20, 30 years. Let that be your focus tomorrow. And if you're a member of Congress and you're watching this, and I know you do because you watch Lev, let that guide your vote. There's really no other choice. You get America back. The victims get sweet, sweet relief. They get to be seen. They get to be heard. They get to be advocated for. You'll find out why Donald Trump just can't quit Russia. You'll find out why every time he demeans Zelensky and the Ukrainian people in favor of clearing the deck for a genocidal maniac in Russia to continue to commit genocide in Ukraine. You'll find out why. You'll find out, and this applies to every American, whether you're MAGA, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, doesn't matter. You're going to find out who's been fucking with you. Don't y'all want those answers? I think you would. I would. This isn't about conservatives, Democrats. It's not about the GOP. It's not about progressives, liberals. This is about bad things that are being visited upon the United States by very fucking bad people who have very bad relationships with other bad foreign interests. And it's been going on for 30 fucking years. This will tell you why Donald Trump has instituted the largest income tax hike on Americans in the history of the United States of America with those tariffs. This will tell you why. This will tell you how he became president of the United States when not a single individual in the United States whose mind isn't mush voted for the man. You will get answers. Don't you want those answers? This might be preaching to the choir because it's Substack and you're all a captive audience of beautiful, very, very smart people, I may add. Very, very smart. But if you know someone who is firmly on Team Trump when it comes to hiding these files, when it comes to allowing foreign interests to destroy the United States of America from the inside out, when it comes to the ongoing pedophile protection racket that Donald Trump and his regime are running, when it comes to some drunk Fox weekend news anchor wanting to declare our war on Venezuela so that we'll all forget about all this stuff. You'll forget about how expensive gas and groceries are. You'll forget that your insurance premiums just quadrupled. You'll forget that Trump used a starvation tactic on 42 million Americans to get what he wants. You'll forget that it is Russia, Russia, Russia. You'll forget about those victims. And now is the time for hypervigilance and focus. So, come with us. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Please, if you can, and you got a couple minutes, subscribe. If you enjoyed this, please share it with anybody you like. DeanBlundell.substack.com. You can read that. You can read an ode to the victims. You can see the video that these incredibly courageous women put out at DeanBlundell.substack.com. You can also read up on why Canada hates Wayne Gretzky. As a Canadian, I thought it important to tell everybody. Yeah, Canadians don't like it when they're hockey gods / icons / heroes support pedophiles. So most of that. And if you can't subscribe, great. I'm so grateful for all of you. So grateful. Free or paid, doesn't matter. Paid keeps us in the game. And I am forever grateful for every single person that puts their email in that little box and says, yeah, I'll come with you on that journey. Yes, I want to be part of that resistance. Yes, I appreciate the fact that we're all in this together. And thank you. Thank you to you, all of you, free or paid. We've got 25% off right now for the rest of November. You can get your annual subscription for, I think it's around $80. And you lock that price in forever. Founding members only ever pay once. I think that's $150. You'll get a free membership for life after that. I think it's $8 a month to sign up. So if you got a couple bucks, I'd like to head to Washington, D.C. too. So thank you again. Your time means more than anything. Your patience, your support. We're here because we are you. Have a great day. We'll see you at 3 o'clock for the 5 stack with my friend Zev Shalev. Don't forget, Lever members, give them a sub. Have a great day, everybody. Be safe. God bless the United States of America.